One day we'll have intro music, but like, not today.
Hi, I'm Elanor.
Hi, I'm Kalina. I was ready.
What?
I said, hi, I'm Kalina. I was ready. Don't quote me on that. How are you?
Oh. I don't know what I thought you said, but it wasn't that. Hello. Today we are talking about a movie, and
Which
it
never
is... That's right. It is also a special episode. It's Pride Month. Hopefully it is still Pride Month when we put this out.
If not, happy future Pride Month.
Yeah, if not, just save it till next year. So we watched a gay movie, and now we're going to talk about it. I picked the movie, but I didn't really pick the movie. My friend picked the movie, but I'm going to take credit for that. And the movie we watched... Yeah. We watched a movie from 2000 called Big Eden, and...
I don't think we can go on the we don't watch movies anymore shtick, because we've watched a few now, but we definitely haven't watched, like, modern movies. So I think that should be everything.
Wait, yeah, I think the newest movie I've seen was whenever that big, like, the last Avengers one came out.
Yeah, I saw... Yeah, nope, it was probably that.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, Big Eden is about a man who was born and raised in Montana, and then he moved to New York and he became an artist, and then his grandpa had a stroke and he flies back to Montana to his hometown to take care of him, and antics ensue. Kalina, do you want to bring something up, or do you want to just like go through the movie, or how do you want to do this?
No, I don't have anything in particular I want to bring up. My first note is Eleanor started watching first, and I got her seal of approval 5 minutes in, so I said I was either going to love this movie or hate it, because Eleanor and I's tastes are either identical or completely opposite. So,
did you like the movie?
I did. I liked it. I thought it was very cute. This comes up later, but I'll say it anyway. I didn't think it was like and I am not the expert to speak on this, but I didn't think it was like a gay movie. You know how some movies are like, they do this with race too, but like that's what the movie is about, is like the struggles of being gay or the struggles of being black or whatever. It wasn't that. Like, I like how I was talking to my friend about it because I was trying to get her to watch it while I was watching it because I liked it. And I was like, she was like, kind of seems like a Hallmark movie, but it seems cute. And I was like, yeah, I think it was more of a traditional just romance movie. Like the gay part wasn't the focus, you know what I mean?
I looked up an interview from the director so that I could be prepared. I didn't do it 5 minutes ago. And one of the things that's talked about the most, like at least that I've seen, is that there's no homophobia in the movie. And a lot of people are complaining about it, which is weird. But anyway, the director was asked about it, and he said, "The question I was asking myself was, if we took away all homophobia and the external forces working against you, would you be any more comfortable as yourself? What is it inside that holds you back?" So that's kind of where he was coming from with the movie, and I think that plays very well.
Yeah.
Because, really, he could be accepting anything about himself. It's just what he's accepting is that he's gay.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I said, I thought it was a very bold choice, especially for 2000, to make a movie like that where everyone was like, yep, this is totally fine, and everyone was very accepting. But I think I said this similar to the first note that I made, which is not everything has to be about like struggling against society and like greater forces like that. Like, it doesn't, like we're talking, not everything has to be groundbreaking or life changing. It doesn't have to be deep on that sort of like very widely applicable level.
Yeah. And also, like, there are probably about 5 million movies with straight couples where there's no, like, huge issues, where the biggest issue is, miscommunication. And nobody calls those unrealistic.
Yeah.
So, like, if that's your big gripe with the movie, shut up.
I agree. Or like they're doing things now like Crazy Rich Asians. You know, you've got two Asian leads with a romance movie where it wasn't like, oh my god, they're Asian, that's a problem. You know, it was more like, and I think they did a good job in the sense that was getting off topic, but it's a good movie. But I think Crazy Rich Asians did it in a good sense that it was like a very culturally, I'd say, Asian thing based on my knowledge and my limited Asian background of my own. That it was a very cultural thing of like families not being accepting, but it wasn't like specifically because they're Asian, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't see that movie, but I think somebody in one of my film classes did a presentation on it. I have. I've seen somebody like do a presentation about the plot of the movie, and then I've seen the wedding scene, and that enough shows me that if I watch it, I will probably be very sad for a couple days.
So good. And I love that man. And then also there's I'm gonna look her up because I don't want to get her name wrong, but this lady in Crazy Rich Asians is what I would like to look like. And like, I know like physically I'm not going to look like her because I am not Asian myself, but just her vibe, Gemma Chan, I'm in love with her. I'm also in love with Henry Golding, but that's a given because look at him. But Gemma Chan, I would like to look like
yeah,
her.
she's gorgeous.
I love her. And she plays one of the good guys in that movie, so. Oh, and I saw a trailer, off topic again. I saw a trailer for Marvel's new The Eternals, and she's in that, and she looks like she's in a couple with Richard Madden, who played Robb Stark in Game of Thrones, if that helps anybody. And he was in that TV show The Bodyguard, and he's Scottish, and I love him, so the two of them together just made me very sad. Just based on who I am as a person. But
so we should not watch that movie, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Angelina Jolie's in here too. It's a lot. It's a lot for me.
Oh wow.
Big Eden. Good movie. I liked it.
Big Eden.
Elanor, I think, or Eleanor's friend, but we'll give Elanor the credit for now. Picked a good one here.
Yeah. Yeah, so Kalina and I had the idea to do something Pride-y because we can, we're allowed to. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna put out a rainbow logo. It's gonna be great. It's gonna cost $5 extra a month to watch our things. Like, that's
we're at $5 more than we're getting now.
Yeah, and this one, it's very. I trust my friend with movie recommendations most of the time, and I just thought this was really cute.
That's good. There's no one in this world I trust. Like, if every time, you know that joke about like, oh, I'm gonna put it on the list. I do not have a list. I will like it in one ear, out the next. Not watching it.
There are a few people I'll trust with things. The movie thing I'm very picky about, because I don't usually like movies. But if it's good enough for my friend to like be harping on me to watch it, Or like
things like this. Like, I didn't read the plot. Like, Eleanor said, okay, watch this. I didn't really read the plot. Whereas, most times you'd see a movie or like a movie trailer and be like, oh, that looks interesting. Every movie I've watched that's been recommended to me, I feel like my mom told me to watch Mr. Right a while ago, so I like just based on her very limited description, I'd watch it. But I try not to like look into them too much because I think that'll turn me off.
Yeah. The only thing I knew about Big Eden coming into it was gay and there was a Native American in it.
I knew it was gay. So,
then I only told you half of what I knew.
If I had known the Native American part, I might have been on it faster. I'll be honest. The last half of my notes kind of devolve into that at the end.
That's another thing I liked. The character Pike, the main love interest, he was Native American, but like that wasn't the cornerstone.
I was waiting for that to become an issue. Like, I thought if they didn't have a problem with them being gay, I thought that was like, and I think it's horrible that I was expecting there to be a problem, but I thought that was going to be the problem.
Mm-hmm. The actor himself who played Pike has talked more than once about how it felt so good to play a Native American character who wasn't just like a Native American stereotype. The only thing I'll say,
Mohicans, which my dad
he was.
The movie. That's all I know about the movie. My dad likes it.
Sorry, the there was a lot of pan flutes, like, sort of sounding sounds when he was on screen alone. That one like had a lot of questions about. I didn't love that.
I was gonna make a note about it, and then I was like, you know what? Since that's the only thing, I'll give it to them. But I think at the end, I was like, there's only two things I'd change about the movie, and I think that it had something to do with him being Native American. But yeah, I did notice the pan flutes, but I was like, you know what? They did stick to country music mostly, and that's actually my first notice. I didn't think the music fit the vibe of the opening scene.
Yes.
So I was like, I'll let it slide.
I think the last couple movies I've watched, my biggest gripe has been about the soundtrack. And I thought the soundtrack for this one, it flowed really, like, they weren't my favorite songs, but they fit really well to the aesthetic and the story, and they were good.
I think at the opening it didn't fit just because they opened in New York and they were playing like a real country song, but other than that, I think it made perfect sense. It was almost like, and the way the story's told, and like it's very community based, I think the songs almost sound like someone's playing them, you know what I mean, while all these things are happening.
Yeah.
It's not like even a soundtrack. You actually notice the music's playing.
I agree. It was very immersive.
Yeah. Anyway, let's actually talk about what happens in the film.
Yes.
I said I feel like "we'll get you a boyfriend yet" is a bold line for 2000. Like when I heard that, I had to double check when the movie was made. So I thought this was very not like ahead of its time, for lack of a better phrase.
Like also it was New York. At that point, it was New York. The movie starts in New York, so
yeah.
I thought that was really funny. It took me a really long time to realize that was she a receptionist, business partner?
I thought she was like his manager, his dealer.
Manager? Okay. I think manager.
She took his card and said, "Here you go. Buy this."
That's true.
To other people.
It took me a really long time to figure out that she was pregnant. Because I thought she was
Elanor.
just walking funny.
Elanor, I have a note, and it's not till they get to his appointment. It says, "Is she pregnant?" Based on the way she sat down. Then I said, "Answer yes," because she said she had to pee again.
Yeah, well, she was walking funny, but like usually when, like in my experience, like people are like very, very heavily, obviously pregnant before they start walking funny, and I was like,
I only noticed it because she sat down in his apartment kind of weird, and she like kind of had to like sit down like this, and I was like, wait a second. So yeah, that was confusing.
I'm glad it confused us both.
Yeah. One thing I liked is that I said not all movies have to be about young people, because you know usually, especially I think now when you're telling stories like I don't want to keep using the word gay, but like that's the word, right? Gay stories. They try to use young people. Like what do you have, like Love Simon or Love Victor, whatever those two shows. They try to use young people who are appealing to a mass audience, and I think for 2000. Again, everything I think is a bold move for 2000. I think that's just off the bat. But I just think it was very interesting to tell a love story, even if it was like a traditional straight couple, to have them be older, because they were like in their 30s at least.
Yeah, most straight rom-coms, they're like early 20-somethings, just got real jobs and I did like that. It made it feel a lot more, I don't know, real, I guess.
And I think that helped make it not so much of a thing. It was like people who have lived lives and like were fleshed out as people, because they're older. They're just automatically more fleshed out as people beyond this story we're going to tell about them falling in love. Also, and sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I liked that we didn't get a lot of background on any of the characters. Which sounds kind of weird, but I kind of liked that everything was laid out for us to learn. It wasn't, like, fed to us in, like, a 20-minute narration scene.
Yeah. I will say that made me a little confused at the beginning, but then once you get about halfway through the movie, you piece everything together. Yeah. It's fairly clear, and they feed you the bits they have to without, like, spoon-feeding you anything. What I was going to say is I'm not a romance movie connoisseur. I'm sure everyone is shocked. Not my forte. So I was surprised. I wasn't prepared to like it just off the bat. I don't like romance movies, and it seemed like it was just going down that traditional route, so I did like it a lot more than I expected.
Good, I'm glad. This movie made me want to move to Montana. I would never move to Montana, but it looks so pretty.
My backup plan, if this whole career thing doesn't work out, is to have like a farm or a cabin out in the woods. So that just did not help that desire at all. And I did say seeing mountains is a religious experience. I'm from Florida. Florida is flatter than a pancake. Okay. So I remember when I went to Arizona, I think Elanor was sick of me. And every time we were in the car, I was like, "This is fascinating," because there's just like stuff in the distance that's not.
She was like, buildings. "That's a mountain."
Yeah, and like, had we seen we drove through mountains? This was crazy. So anyway, it's a bit of a religious experience for me. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I was, hopefully. And yeah, I asked Elanor if she wants to move to a cabin in the woods with me. She said yes, but we had to have running water and central heating, of course, because I don't like being cold. And then I said we'd have a bowling alley just for fun.
Yeah. If we're moving to a cabin, we might as well go all out at this point.
And I want to be unreachable, so I need to have all my entertainment at the cabin. My plan is to leave my phone on the road and say, I'll never be seen again.
Could I still see you?
Well, you live there, so obviously, but you have to leave your phone too.
Oh.
Oh, my plan actually, right, is to like rent a really beat up truck, okay? We drive out there, we leave the truck, doors open on the side of the road, never seen again. We turn into local legends. But really, we're just living in a cabin in the woods.
Okay. I mean, I do think it needs a little bit of tweaking, and we should probably not post that part. But I like it. I like it.
It's a good foundation, I think. I gotta hammer out the details, but that's the general plan.
Yeah. I know somebody did that not too long ago. She, like, left her car in the middle of the woods, in the middle of the woods with it open, but then she just ran away. I would like to tell my mom that that's what we're doing, because this girl's mom thought she got murdered and kidnapped. And the general public can think that, but like...
to think, Elanor.
Well, yeah, but I also just feel like your mom might get mad at me.
Because if she's gonna snitch, then you can't tell her.
Probably not.
Okay.
I feel like your mom would get mad at me if I helped conceal you. If, like, she thought you were dead.
I told her this was gonna happen. There's not a chance I was doing it without her approval. Okay, she'd find me and actually murder me. So, we have to get her on board first.
Alright, good. In that case, let's go.
Move to a cabin in the woods.
Yes.
Anyway, I tried to write more plot-related notes, because a lot of times my notes are like, I write them and then I read them back and I'm like, I have no idea what happened in this scene. So, to recap, he's an artist. The gallery was opening and he got a phone call that his grandfather had a heart attack or something. So he leaves right when his gallery is supposed to open to go take care of his grandfather, and he brings his grandfather home from the hospital to this cabin. I guess it's the grandfather's cabin, kind of out a little bit on the outskirts of this small town in Montana. That's where we're at.
Mm-hmm. He had a stroke falling off the widow's roof because he was fixing up the roof, because he built every house in town, which is a fun little tidbit that comes back at the end. And we get introduced to the town. It's kind of, you have one of every quintessential character. You have the old school teacher, you have the widow, you have the group of old men that don't do anything all day.
Trying to hop in on that.
My personal favorite. And like we said, this is the main character's hometown, and so everybody remembers him, and everyone's kind of makes a big deal about him being home, because they haven't seen him since he went off to the big city. It kind of sounds like he's the only person who's ever left that town.
Yeah, I think it had been like 18 years or something like that he'd been gone for, so that's a hot minute, to say the least.
Yeah, it's been a while. He goes to the school teacher's little school room and helps out a little bit, and he learns that his high school best friend / first big love also moved back.
With his children. That's a note I have. It's the 2000s. What did the mother do that the father got custody of both of his children? He got full custody of both of his kids. And, like, I'm sure it was just an very easy way to write her out of the story. But, like, realistically, now I think parents should have equal opportunity to have custody of their children. But it was 2000. He's a man from a small town. How did he get custody? Even today, the mother typically gets... that's the
which
default.
Isn't always the right choice.
You have to mess up big time for the father to get custody. So, that bothered me for a little bit.
I guess they just didn't want... it would have been too sad to, like, kill him off, you know?
Yeah, but, like, listen. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do and kill off the wife.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think killing him off would have, like, made his... Because, like, then...
I think, yeah, I do think it would have factored in later, and it would have made it harder to, like... Sorry, I think this thing's gonna fall. To, like, play off the conflict between the two of them. You know what I mean? Like, if he was grieving a dead wife, that would have changed the dynamic entirely.
Yeah. But I agree. She probably did something unforgivable. Mm-hmm. So he realizes that his high school buddy's back, and they have a couple moments, and they're, you know, his feelings are coming back. And then we get introduced to a little bit more of the town, and a system is set up where the widow, who is also, like, kind of like the town gossip, I guess. Yeah. She would make food, and then the owner of the general store would bring it over because the grandpa is in a wheelchair and they don't want to, like, leave him home alone for too long.
Oh, is that why? Yeah, I said I'm unclear on why he needs to play middleman. It seemed like a very convoluted story.
Yeah,
but that makes sense.
And so I thought it was basically the widow is too old for her to be, because she always gets driven everywhere. Mm-hmm. So the widow is too old to be driving back and forth every day. And I would assume they don't want to leave the other old man who just had a stroke and is in a wheelchair home alone for, like, too terribly long.
True, because I was going to say, they did leave him alone a couple of times, but it wasn't for a long while. Yeah,
and I think they also, you know, might have just wanted to give Pike something to do.
They're like, you look sad.
Because he kind of just, he just kind of, like, woke up and went to his store. Yeah. Well, he lived, like, in the store.
But so I don't have to say it later. I don't want to I'm not trying to make everything about me. I promise that's not what it is. I really just, Pike was I figured out what I look like, okay, everyone? I figured it out, and I know everyone's been telling me for years, but, like, I got a visual of it in this movie, and I look good, is the moral of the story. I look good, and someone's gonna fall in love with me eventually, so I don't think I'm doing anything wrong here.
That's true. No, there's a lot of similarities there. Just...
Or, like, how he, like, around, like, one or two people, he'll talk, and then around everyone else, it's 1 or 2 word responses if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Love that guy. Anyway. I said, is Pike the love interest? Because I don't blame them.
He's cute.
He is cute. I have a lot of notes about that. We'll get to that later. Oh, if anyone wants to hear about how dumb I am, right? So Henry, who's the main character, I can't believe we haven't said his name yet, but Henry is in the classroom with, he's helping the old school teacher with the kids, right? And they're, like, youngish kids, and they're cutting up, like, stars, I think it's supposed to be. And he cuts up a snowflake, and he goes, and the kids are, like, they're putting the stars on flags, and the kids go, there's no flag that's got a snowflake on it. And then Henry was like, yeah, there is, the North Pole. And then a kid goes, is the North Pole a country? And then I also said, is the North Pole a country? And Henry goes, yeah, Santa's the president. And I was like, okay, no, the answer is no. North Pole is not a country. Glad we cleared that up. I was just double checking. I knew that. Not a country.
It's okay. I was like, wow, that's a really cool flag. That would make sense. And then yeah.
See, I'm glad it wasn't just me.
No, I mean, it's not great that it was both of us. We're definitely,
unfortunately makes sense, so.
It unfortunately does. Also, I can't believe I haven't mentioned this. So, the grandpa, his name is Sam, and they call him Sampa.
Oh, is that what they call him?
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were just calling him Sam that whole movie. And I was like, how you call a grown adult man Sam? That's just rude.
But they called him Sampa.
That's cute. That is cute. I like that.
Ow. Let's see. Who else is there? There's the mayor.
Oh, yeah, I called her Pigtails. She never had pigtails, not once in the movie. But I thought she did, and I ran with it.
I'd buy it. Okay, so the widow starts meddling. She sets up, like, a big party. she sets up a big party for Henry to meet all the single ladies. And Henry is not enthused. But also there was free food there, so he could have chit-chatted a little bit longer.
No, yeah, and then you're just like, oh my god, I'm
the
so
way
sorry,
home,
I can't talk, I
they
got
have
food in
it.
my mouth. So sorry. I think we cut each other off because Eleanor's connection sucks, but he was like, he could just eat a lot of food and be like, oh my god, it's so nice to meet you, but I can't talk right now, I'm chewing. And then leave.
Yeah, he's like, my mouth is so full, we can go on a date.
I do it all the time. I'd be like, I'll be right back, I'm gonna go grab something, and I never come back. You're never gonna see me again. If I say I'll be right back, you will not see me again.
That's why Kalina and I had to run errands together, otherwise she'd run away.
Into the woods. Wait, to catch him up. Oh, wait, real quick. Also, Pike, was he into Henry? I was trying to, because based on my notes, I'm reading back now. Did he, like, think Henry was absolutely adorable off the bat? Because he seemed really sad about Henry being around. And one of the things is, like, Pike's really cool. Like, he'll sit down and eat with Henry's grandfather, Sam. But anytime Henry's around, he's like, dope, gotta go home, sorry. And then he'll leave. And then he, like, closed up the store. He said he couldn't eat dinner with them. Went home. I guess he lives in the back of the store. Took a loaf of bread off the shelf.
Yeah, just a loaf of white bread.
Fed his dog a piece of bread, and then ate a piece of bread. He didn't toast it. He didn't do anything with the bread. He just ate
straight out of the bag.
Bread.
I
and
think
me too, buddy. But I had some concerns.
That's very concerning if you've done that. I think he must have had a crush on Henry in school. And so it was just, like, a little bit overwhelming to see him back, kind of like Henry was going through with, what's his name?
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if it was, like, that or if just Henry was because, like, I assume Pike, like, it's a small town. They all know each other, so obviously he wasn't into any of the other men in town. And, like, Henry's ex-boyfriend, Dean, came back, and he obviously wasn't into Dean. So, like, I was just wondering if it was that he had a crush on him this whole time, or if it was just, like, oh, this guy who I knew when I was a kid came back from town, and actually he's cute. And that also kind of falls in line with my Scott Pilgrim question, which is, like, I didn't get Henry's appeal. No offense, just, like, I didn't think he was that cute, so, like, maybe he just, like, made it big, and, you know, maybe it was, like, oh, he made it big in New York.
I thought he was really cute.
I
thought he was cute. I thought he was cuter than Dean. Not as cute as Pike, but cuter than Dean.
I didn't think he or Dean were cute, but I would give Dean more points. And by the end, I was really upset because Pike's really tall, and then they just really played into the tall, short partner trope. And for everyone who doesn't know, Kalina's in no way, shape, or form, and neither is Elanor, a short girl. We wouldn't qualify there in any way.
We're both like 5'9", 5'11", 5'10".
Yeah, I like how she just skipped the middle inch there. 5'9", 5'11".
You know.
So, like, stop having tall partners, okay? Just leave some for the rest of us. I know he wouldn't be into me because he's not into women, but, like, give me a chance, okay?
Yeah, okay. I'll remember that.
I can jump the first barrier, okay? The height thing I can't fix. So, like...
The first barrier that he's a gay man?
We can work with that one. I can work with that one.
That's a lot of dedication.
Hey, listen, for Pike, he's 6'2".
There are
I'm
tall, straight men.
Yes, but they like short, straight women. Elanor, what part are you not understanding?
When he likes short gay men.
Where are you?
So I don't really know.
What are you unclear on here?
Anyway. You mostly, actually.
So anyway, he just...
I'll take short for...
a piece of bread.
Yeah, he did. But also, apparently the widow's food was really bad. So, yeah.
Blame him.
Not for that one. His dog was the best part of the movie.
That's fair.
Anyway. So.
I'm scrolling through my notes here as we go through. I said maybe having a little boy would be nice, because Henry's ex-boyfriend, I assume they were, like, boyfriends.
I don't know if they were boyfriends or if they were just, like, good friends and maybe they
No, I think they were I got the vibe they were together because when he was at the school teacher was telling Henry about how, oh, he's back and without blah blah without Kathy or whatever the wife's name was, and he's got the boys with him, but it sounded like they were in New York together, and then like I don't know, my understanding was they were together, they broke up, kind of I guess went their separate ways, and Dean's the ex-boyfriend, had only recently moved back with the kids. Because I guess he went and had a wife in this time. And it had been 18 years since they had seen each other. So, like, that's plenty of time for them to split off and do things.
I know. My understanding was that it was just, like, an unresolved thing in high school that they both felt but never acted on. But, again, it's not fully explained. So we could both be right.
I thought they acted on it just because I know they do, spoiler, they do kiss later in the movie. And it didn't seem like it was, like, the first time, you know what I mean? But, like, also, I don't know how boy best friends are, so...
Yeah, that's true. Also, there are two kissing scenes in the movie, and they are the most awkward things I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that's the worst part of the whole movie.
I didn't want to comment on it because I didn't know if it was just because I feel, and I don't know if anyone else has problems. So I'll go on the record as saying it. I feel like sometimes when like two guys kiss in a movie or two girls kiss in a movie, I feel like sometimes it's not. I feel awkward, not all the time, but I don't know if it's because it's not played right, like if it's just like I feel like sometimes they're forcing it, and I'll say sometimes I feel in straight movies they're forcing it. I don't think there needs to be nearly as much kissing as there is, okay? I think 2's a good number. Mm-mm. I go by the Indian movie standards, which is if they kissed at the end of the movie, that was a lot, right? So I think more than one kiss at the end of the movie is too much. So sometimes I just feel like I did feel like those ones were played a little strangely.
Yeah, for me it was just because for both ones they kind of did like a spitting sort of close up, but it was very obviously just a very, very long closed mouth kiss.
Yeah, that's just it. It was just them smushing their faces together for like 30 seconds while music played in the background and they turned. So like, yeah, I said it was filmed I was like, it was very 2000s brand filming. Like, I felt like some parts were, like, cut all of a sudden. Like, I didn't realize we changed scenes. We just changed scenes kind of all of a sudden. But I do think that helped because we had a lot of, as Elanor said, they didn't, like, spoon feed you the info. So you did have to, like, fill in some background info very quickly in the beginning.
Yeah. This is a very paying attention movie.
Yeah.
But, yeah, first of all, I don't think there should be a lot of kissing in movies just because we don't need to see that. But if you're gonna have a kiss, at least I don't know. If you don't want to make out with a dude, then make it like a very, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this. Make it like a sensual hug or something. Like you don't have to just
tasteful, Elanor. Say tasteful.
No, I'm not talking about no. I want it to be a little bit raunchy.
Okay. I don't. Tasteful.
No, I don't really either.
Anyway, I think Dean comes over to Sam's house with the boys, and they have like dinner together. And then so Dean's the ex. Dean leaves with the boys, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to go?" He says to Henry, "He's like, do you want to go get a drink?" Blah blah blah. So I think that was kind of the first hint that like maybe there might be something brewing between them. And I thought this movie was like just a testament to the art of subtlety and subtext. Nothing was like overly done or overtly said to you, but especially in like in playing the relationship between Henry and Dean and then Henry and Pike. And one thing I don't watch a lot of romance movies. One thing I know I do like is when a lot of the romance is established before they even like really talk or connect, if that makes sense. Like you could see their connection and they cared about each other, Pike and Henry separately, before they even sat down and had a meal together for the first time.
Yeah, I did like that. And then I think Dean starts building a ramp at the grandpa's house, and so he's over a lot with his boys, and they're all kind of bonding and, you know, getting acquainted and whatnot. Which I don't know. We get a really cute montage scene.
Sorry. They are cute. Oh, and you know what? I think this might be a little further in my notes, but I think this is around the time. So what happened is, remember the widow was cooking for them, and then Pike learned to cook instead because this lady made something called a tuna casserole, which sounds bad, right? And then at the top of the tuna casserole, there was just like deviled eggs, I guess.
They were just hard-boiled eggs, which is worse.
They were eggs, okay? They looked
bad. They were disgusting.
And so Pike was learning how to cook for Sam, because also Sam had dietary restrictions because his cholesterol was high or something, so he couldn't have salt and a bunch of other things. So Pike learned how to cook for them, and he like sent the old men who sat outside his shop, he like sent them out to go fish, which I thought was so cute. But I thought it was interesting, and not to like fall into gender roles again, but they did kind of turn them on their head, because Pike, who I think between the two of them would be, he's taller, he's the bigger dude, he's kind of the handyman, it looks like he runs the general store, seems to hold his own. He was doing the cooking, which I guess traditionally be the more feminine thing, whereas in that same montage, Henry is helping build this ramp, whereas Henry is, he falls quite into the stereotype, he's the artist, like, and he's doing the more masculine thing of building the ramp and working with his hands, so I thought that was nice.
I didn't even think about that. Look at you, noticing things. This is gonna be mean. So Dean works at an Ace Hardware, and when they go to buy the lumber for the ramp, we meet lesbians. Oh, I was gonna be mean and say, like, why would you move back to your hometown and then just work at a hardware store? But I'm sure there's a lack of jobs, so I'm not gonna bring that up. Anyway, we meet lesbians.
They're lesbians?
And yeah, they kissed each other.
Okay, I don't think they were lesbians.
No, they were lesbians and business partners.
You keep talking. I'm learning a lot, guys. I'm learning so much right now.
They were lesbians. And it was just another, I don't know, just a very subtle, like, they were very, like, obviously, well, I guess they weren't obviously together, but
there's nothing
they were obviously together. And it was just one of those things that was just, yep, that's just there, which I thought was really nice. So it wasn't just like gay representation, there was also some lesbian representation.
They were lesbians?
Yeah, Kalina. Did you think they were just really good friends?
I didn't see them kiss on the lips. I thought they kissed on the cheek. Honest to God, I thought that was her mom. That wasn't her mom?
I'm a little bit concerned about whether or not we're talking about the same pair.
Probably not, because I thought that was her mom.
Who are you talking about?
You know what? Listen, you know what? It's all good. We're gonna move on, because you're probably right. You're probably right. I'm gonna let you run with that one. We're gonna be here all night otherwise.
Okay.
I did some Googling and it didn't clear it up at all for me. So, anyway, yeah. He goes to the hardware store, building a ramp. I said there's not much dialogue, at least not for like long periods of time, at least not at this point in the movie, but I like that you can tell what's going on through the characters' minds, / kind of what's motivating them. So here I think it was clear that Henry and the dad, obviously, Henry and Dean had something going on. I referred to him as the dad because I didn't know his name. But Henry and Dean had something going on very clearly. Meanwhile, Pike wanted to learn how to cook for Henry, and like that was his main goal. And then the old lady was trying to set Henry up with someone. Like all their actions were very clear without them outright going da-da-da-da, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. They were obvious, but not like too obvious. Oh, and then because this comes in later, that we get a little scene towards the beginning where Pike is sitting outside his store and he sees a shooting star.
Oh, yes. Back to the topic of lesbians, just very briefly. I don't remember what this note was in relation to, but it was about marrying. I think it might have been when the widow was like trying to get him to marry someone. And I said the only time I ever wanted to marry a lady was when Elanor would make Alfredo while I was at training and then leave some out for me for when I got home. Because that just made my week all the time, or like my year really. Elanor taught me how to make Alfredo and she taught me how to make mac and cheese, but sometimes I'd go to training in the evening and she'd cook Alfredo and I'd leave training and I'd see a text that was like, I left some for you on the counter. And I genuinely considered what it would be like to be married to Elanor.
I'm not in love with Kalina. I just don't know how to make enough food for one person.
It's okay to be in love with Kalina, though. You didn't have to
No, I know that.
It's okay.
It's fine to be in love with Kalina. I'm just not, unfortunately.
For everyone involved, she's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will be honest. I wasn't in love with Elanor. I was in love with Eleanor's Alfredo. I was marrying her for her Alfredo, which is not a euphemism, actually.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I said on the topic of lesbians. I was just listen. It was a good segue. I really wanted to read that note. Moving on. I like a small town mentality. I think that's cute. I grew up in a very big city, so like when we moved to Ireland, even Limerick was like small town to me. But I like how it was very tight knit, and I liked how it was played in the movie by the men. So this was that was it. There was another time where I thought gender roles were reversed. The men that used to sit outside the general store were kind of played as like, you know, the girlfriends that are like supporting the guy, and the women instead of the women. Like, or when Pike was cooking one time, all the men were in the kitchen helping him, and he was yelling at them.
I thought it was cute when the old men talked about bay leaves, like they knew what they were.
Talked about what?
There was one scene where the men were helping Pike cook, and the guy, one of the main little circle guy, the main cowboy, he's like, "This needs a bay leaf." Just a word you'd never think a nice old Montana cowboy would ever say.
Yeah. Oh, and something about a southern accent. Like, I wasn't attracted to any of the dudes in the movie, but like, I like the southern accent. It was nice.
It was really nice. I do love me a cowboy, unfortunately.
I wrote down a couple of lines. Sorry.
Huh?
You're like freezing a little bit. I wrote down a couple of lines because I thought I had some good points that like could explain the movie better than I just could. And one time while they were cooking, right, and Pike was getting kind of like freaked out about it, and the main cowboy said to him, I'm glad that's his name now, said, "What does all this mean, Pike?" And Pike said, "I don't know what it means." And I thought that was a good like establishing point. I think that was kind of a turning point in the film, is everyone else is like, okay, it's very clear you're doing this for a reason. And I don't think there's any harm in saying I don't know and just going with your gut feeling, you know what I mean? I think that's a hard thing to do, so I thought that was nice that they verbalized that. My next note is jean jacket, because someone wore a jean jacket, so...
I'm glad you're keeping us.
Token black guy spotted, because they have to have one.
They had one?
Yeah, see? Listen, you missed the lesbians. Sorry, I missed the lesbians, you missed the black guy. It's fine. It was at one of the so after the widow figured out that she had like a bunch of ladies come over to the house, and she was testing her theory, and she figured out, and then they all got back in the car, and she was like, "I knew it. I don't know why he wouldn't just say it." Basically, she realized Henry was gay. So then she had like another little get together with a bunch of guys, and Sam was playing the piano, and there was a bunch of guys hanging around him, and they were singing "Mama, don't let your daughter, like, don't let your boys grow up to be cowboys," or something like that. That's the song they were singing. And I was like, first of all, let your boys grow up to be cowboys because I want one. But two, one of the guys singing with Sam was a black guy.
Yeah, he was. And at this little gay matchmaking party, Sam, the grandpa, goes to the widow. "I thought this was a chess tournament. Nobody even brought their chess boards." And the widow was like, "The tournament's tomorrow. They have to rest up," and then just walked away.
Yeah, she was.
But like at this point, it was fairly well implied that Sampa knew his grandson was gay.
Yeah, that was a point of contention briefly at the beginning, was Henry's assistant manager, redheaded lady who was pregnant apparently, said to him, she was like, "Don't you think you should," I think she either asked if don't you think he knows already, or she said, "Don't you think you should tell him?" And Henry was like, "Nope," and then got on a plane, basically.
Henry was like, "I've never been gay in my life." And then there was a town picnic.
Yes, and I said I'm a little in love with Pike because then he was wearing blue plaid. Pike didn't go to the picnic, but he went over to the house, to the cabin, and ate dinner with Sam's grandpa, and they had a drink together. And he had on a blue plaid shirt, and I love him. And then it made me sad because they were dancing. I like to dance. No one wants to dance with Kalina, unfortunately, so I was a little emo for a little bit. It's okay. I got over it. Okay, it's not that no one wants to dance with Kalina. It's just there hasn't been very many opportunities for people to tell me they don't want to dance with me. So
anyway, so at the picnic, Henry and Dean, they dance together. There's a cute moment with Henry interacting with Dean's boys, and the lesbians are serving ribs, and they dance, and then they go home, right? Okay, so the grandpa and Pike and the dog are out watching the fireworks, and that's when Dean and Henry come home. And Henry's opening the door, and Dean runs up, and right as Dean comes up to him, the grandpa and Pike were about to like enter into basically their view, and then Pike sees that Dean's there, and he immediately steps back into the shadows, and then they just watch Dean and Henry have a moment, and Pike gets so sad because he wants that to be his moment. And I thought that was just, it was very sad, but I was like, oh yeah, it was really nicely done.
I was expecting a kiss there. I felt like, and I kind of like that they didn't put it there, because I think you would have been expecting it. Basically Dean kind of comes up and he's like, he says to Henry, I'm so glad you're home. I'm just really, really glad you're home. And they get real close. And then Dean hugs him because, again, Henry is little and has no business being as little as he is. But anyway, Dean hugs him and is like, I'm very glad you're home. And, like, they just have this very emotional moment. And then Dean leaves, Henry goes inside, and Sam says to Pike, he says, I'm sorry. So, like, he definitely knew. Everyone was on the same page. This is, like, I think probably the definition of, like, everyone knew but them. And then I think everyone knew before they knew themselves.
Yeah. And... oh goodness, we're running out of time.
I know, it's been 40 minutes and we barely explained we explained the plot of half the movie, maybe.
So, quick recap.
Yes. You go.
So that happens. And then they all are at Thanksgiving together. So, Henry goes to the general store to invite Pike for Thanksgiving, but he pretends he's just there, to look for something, and then the little gossiping guys are like, he would never come here to check the mail. He's here to ask Pike for Thanksgiving, and then Pike goes to Thanksgiving, and basically the whole town is at Thanksgiving because there's 10 people in the whole town. And Thanksgiving has, like, it's very interesting. It has a lot of, it just, like, shows you who's staring at who, and there's a lot of footage where the shot is just, like, one person and, like, where their eyes go to. What?
That series of shots was confusing to me. I figured it out, but it happened really quickly. And
it did.
It was like girl looking at guys looking at other guys looking at a third guy. So I was just a little confused about the eye lines.
I was prepared for it because my friend was like, "Oh, this is when everyone, like, you get to see who everyone was looking at." So I had a little, I had a refresher or a prepare. Anyway, and then after Thanksgiving, well, still at Thanksgiving, but Dean and Henry get into a fight, and basically Dean's like, I can't do this, and he's talking about the relationship, and everybody just pretends they don't hear that, but absolutely everybody heard that.
They did. I was expecting
they were just behind a door.
Came back out. Yeah.
But they came out, and then Pike saw that they had a little moment, and Pike left, and then the widow was like, I'm gonna need a ride home. And then Henry slowly gets over Dean, and Dean gets into the mayor, and Pike and Henry have some moments. Everything kind of builds up to the end, and then Grandpa dies. There are some more moments, and then basically before he died, the grandpa told Henry, he's like, I'm gonna die soon, and I need to be able to tell, all your dead relatives that I did a good job with you, and that you, were happy and you had a home.
Because it made me so emo. So he was talking about, like, old men love to talk about when they're going to die, because my dad and my grandfather both do this. And then it was kind of like, we accept the love we think we deserve, blah, blah, can't love anyone until you love yourself kind of shtick. Basically, his grandfather was talking to him about accepting himself, and then he said, did we teach you shame? Did I teach you that? Because it would break my heart if I had. And I think that was...
Yeah, I started crying.
It was really sad. And it was, like Eleanor mentioned earlier, it was this idea of everyone else is, like, waiting here. And there's another quote that was said later in the movie that kind of is similar. But it's like everyone is waiting to accept you and you know, and love you for who you are, but you have to let yourself do that first. And later in the film, someone else says to Henry, I was hoping that you'd let yourself be found this time. I was hoping you'd let us find you. And just kind of, she was talking about, like, when you get lost, you're not supposed to wander off. You're supposed to stay where you are and call for help. And she was like, we were waiting for you to come to yourself, and we were here for you. Why weren't you there for you, essentially? And that made me sad. I didn't cry, but I was like getting there.
Oh no! After the heartfelt conversation with the grandpa, I was down for the whole movie.
Oh yeah, did we teach you shame? I was like that. Oh.
Yeah. In a good way, but like.
I wrote this, and I didn't mean for it to sound how it sounds, but I couldn't figure out how else to phrase it. After the "Did we teach you shame?" I said, "What is love but giving someone your heart and, like, asking them not to laugh at it?" Because he had said something along those lines, and I couldn't figure out, like, a different way to phrase shame. But basically, like, all Henry needed. Henry was so worried about saying, "This is me. This is what I'm doing. This is who I am," and he didn't want anyone to judge him for that. And they knew, and they weren't. But, like, he was already judging himself for it, you know?
Yeah. No, I like what you said. I like how you put it, because it's. Yeah.
It was kind of hard.
It's nice.
It's on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Grandpa dies, and Henry decides that he is going to New York. Mm-hmm. And that's where he's going to, you know, set up shop, and that's going to be his home, and to hell with this little town with this cowboy I'm in love with, which, like, weird decision. And then there's an airport scene, because there has to be an airport scene in every rom-com, where Pike, he, you know, realizes that Henry's, realized that Henry is leaving and he hadn't said goodbye yet. He's like, I need to go say goodbye. And he runs through the gate. And this is how I know it was made in 2000, because at this point I hadn't looked it up. Homeboy didn't just immediately get shot. So definitely 9/11 hadn't happened yet.
I was like, how did he make it so far? I thought it was just an airport. I was like, you got really far in there.
It's like, there's only one airport in Montana. There's no way they don't have a security gate. They just had a metal detector. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you need to stop the plane. And everyone's like,
Dude, it is in the sky.
We can't just do that. And so they didn't stop the plane. And so he you know, mopes all the way back to his store.
Oh, yeah.
He sees Homeboy's truck outside of his store, and he comes in and he's like, why is that truck there? And then Henry pokes his head out and he's like, what do you mean? Why is my truck there? I live here. And then they're in love. That is the gist of it.
He goes, oh, I'm sorry, is it in your way? Do you need me to move it? Because he was, like, sitting back so you couldn't see him in the group of people that were gathered in the store. And that was cute. I think I figured out where Eleanor cried again. No,
I hadn't stopped crying.
Oh, okay. I kind of going to backtrack a little bit because just some points in my notes. So yeah, they had Thanksgiving. They had that big blowout. I thought Dean's argument to Henry was very unfair. Dean, the gist of his argument was, "I love you and you're my family," and he said like, "You're my family," point blank to Henry, but I can't be with you. And I think, and he was like, Henry, you're so selfish. You're my best friend, and you're villainizing me essentially for something I can't control. Which is, I guess Dean was saying he loved Henry very deeply, but couldn't be with him in that way. But I don't think it was fair to expect Henry to just be like, yep, okay, because Henry wasn't in love with him and willing to jump in, but Dean wasn't willing to make the jump. And I don't think it's fair to expect Henry to hang around and be your best friend on that level. So I don't remember what happened later. I think, so Henry had painted something and gave it to Pike as a present, and he had gone in through the back of the store, and then Dean comes into the store looking, this is after Thanksgiving, a little while after. Dean's like, I guess gets it together, and he comes into the store looking for Henry, and all the old men are in the store. They're like, oh, he's in the back with Pike, but you should go around the side, because if he goes around the side, he can see through the window. So he saw through the window that Pike and Henry were like having a moment, and he ran off crying. And I said it was harsh to do that to Dean, but I do think he needed it.
Yeah.
I think it was necessary. And then he went and cried in his car, and then the girl that had a crush on him saw him, and then she came in the car to comfort him. And I said, if I saw my friend crying, I would say, do you need me to get someone? I would not volunteer to be the someone, but that was just a personal note that I wanted to check in.
Yeah, if I walked by and saw my friend crying, I'd maybe like,
first of all,
do you want me to go buy you ice cream?
I'll be honest, if I walked up and someone was bawling in their car, whether I knew them or not, I'd be like, because like if I were bawling in my car, I wouldn't want to be. I
wouldn't want anybody to mention it. If somebody was like, "Are you good?" I'd be like, go away. Yeah. I'm having a moment. It's my personal moment. Get away.
But back to Henry and Pike, they were bonding over this painting that had to do with the story, and I love like folklore and any sort of like traditional history. So I really like the story behind the painting. It was basically talking about how in Greek history, Atlas holds up the sky and his daughters got turned into stars. And then I guess Pike was essentially telling him a Native American version of that tale about how the kids were dancing and got turned into stars. But basically, the kids were so hungry, their parents wouldn't give them food. This is the shortened version. And so they went back to dance on the top of this mountain, and they were hungry, so they were so light their bodies lifted into the air and they turned into stars and forgot their parents. But every once in a while, one of them will remember his hunger and his parents and then come down to earth. So that's what shooting stars are. So Henry gave Pike a painting based around this. So they were talking about the painting, and then they were talking about like Henry was like, "Did you remember me in high school?" And I think there's something about shared history that's very nice, even if it's not like a collect, like they didn't do things together, but just that idea of just someone who knows you. And I said, why did they kill Grandpa Sadface? And the part that almost made me cry was Elanor mentioned Sam, the grandpa, had built all the houses in the town, and he also carved miniature versions of it. So at his funeral, he had basically the whole town carved out of wood because he used to whittle it all the time. And that made me really sad because like they were handing out the pieces to the people whose homes
everybody got like their own little home.
And then at one scene, I said the most unrealistic thing is not everyone is in love with Pike because he was the only man who knew how to dress in that whole town. And also, what is a cottage cheese and sour cream pancake and why does it exist?
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, I'm glad Pike stepped up and started cooking because Grandpa would have been dead real quick.
One of my notes was, how did they not figure out this old lady wasn't cooking by now? Because this has been going on for months. Like the assistant had her baby, or the manager, the art gallery lady, had her baby because when she came for the funeral, and she had a couple-month-old baby at that point. But
I was very confused by the shot of her with her baby because she was sitting in between Dean and his new girlfriend holding a baby, and I was like, is that their baby? Because I had forgotten she was pregnant. I also thought it was kind of weird that she showed up because she didn't want him to go to New York back to Montana anyway. But
friends come through and someone dies, I guess. But I said, and one of the lines is at the funeral, she said, so you're going to make me ask about the Indian or something? And so the only two things I would have fixed in this movie is Dean was bi, because he kept talking about how he was straight. And then one of my earlier notes is Dean is straight, but someone should tell him that. Because he was just a little confused. So I think we should have made Dean bi, and I would have taken the Indian line out. But on last two notes, I said that he makes Pike laugh, and this is about like what they bring to each other and kind of the idea of that they were romancing and kind of falling in love with each other before they got to be together as people. But he made Pike laugh because Pike was very serious and broody, and at the end of the movie they're sitting around eating together and Pike's laughing at something Henry says to him. And I said I think Pike makes Henry feel safe / be more decisive. And part of it was he finished this painting. Henry was stuck on the painting for a while, and then he talked and he had dinner with Pike, and then he finished the painting that he eventually gifted to him. And then there's a dance scene. Back to the dancing. They have like another little town picnic, and they dance, and then Henry and Pike dance together, and then they kiss, and like we're not gonna talk about the camera work there, but they kiss, and it's adorable. And Pike wears the shirt he wore for the first time they had dinner together. And then the song that plays as the movie closes out while they're dancing says, wishes came true if you would be mine. And that's like the last line you hear before the film ends.
Oh, the first line of that song that we hear is, if wishes were horses, I'd ride a fast one. And it made me think about Kalina, and then I got a little bit more emo because she's the only person in the world I've ever heard say if wishes were horses. Because I heard that and I was like, I have a best friend too.
No one says that.
You're the first person I've ever heard say that.
Oh, yeah, there's a phrase. Like, anytime you say, like, oh, I wish I had $1 million, for example, you say, if wishes were horses, we'd all be riding, or we'd all be jockeys. Because we all have wishes.
Allegedly.
Anyway, that is cute. I like you sometimes.
Okay, you don't have to make it weird.
I already said I was going to marry you, Elanor, for your Alfredo. I think we passed that a long time ago.
That's a good point. But yeah, it's a very cute movie. It's a very feel-good movie. It doesn't matter that it's not realistic because no movies are realistic.
I think it's fairly grounded in reality for what it is. Like, I think what you said about the director, don't mind my leg. You know how, like, if we took away all these outside factors, homophobia and all this stuff, I think it is fairly grounded in reality.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense. I think anyone can relate to it. I don't think, again, I think there's a difference between, like, a gay movie and a gay movie. I don't think it was a gay movie where they were struggling about their sexuality. Like, I think it was just a love story. It just so happened to be two guys.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I did a very good job of not falling into many, like, it fell into rom-com stereotypes, but as a rom-com, it's good to do that.
And even then, I thought it stood up very well. Like, I find rom-com stereotypes kind of hard to watch, and I thought it stood up very well.
Yeah, they can get real, just been there, done that real quickly, but I think this movie did a good job. The camera work in some scenes could use a little bit of work, I think. Yeah, some parts of dialogue could be a little bit clearer, and I think Dean as a character, I think his motivations needed just a little bit more clarification.
Yeah.
But those are really my big gripes. The actual love story I thought was beautiful, and I thought was told really well, and I thought it was realistic for the most part. And it was good, and it's a good movie to watch if you want to cry. Happy cry.
I think one thing is, I don't understand why people, like, it's hard to recommend movies. Like, that's part of the reason when I wrote my notes, I tried to focus on more what was happening in the plot, because to me it's hard to be like, you should watch this movie for this reason, because I couldn't sum up Big Eden for you. But I think it's like, that's part of the reason I wrote down, like, lines they said and stuff like that. I was like, this is just very touching. I think you'll feel for it without even meaning to, and I think it's an easy watch. Again, like, it's a rom-com, it's an easy watch, and I think the setting and the characters are unique, but the story itself isn't, if that makes sense. Like, the story's kind of told, but they kind of put a twist on it in the sense of who the story's happening to. And it's just cute. They dance at the end, and it's really adorable.
There's and, a picnic.
I don't know. We have country songs. It's nice.
It is. It's really. I think it's very, like, cohesive as like aesthetically, musically, and it was good. And we would recommend it. I believe it's on Amazon Prime or Tubi for free to watch legally. Don't watch it illegally. Thank you for tuning in.
Happy Pride Month.
Yes.
If there's another week left in the month, we might do another one of these, but don't quote us on that.
And that's what this has been.
I'm Kalina.
I'm Elanor.
We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
One day we'll have outro music, but, like, not today.